Welcome, fellow goofballs, to a bonus edition here of Two Giant Goofballs. Wanted to go ahead and give you guys all the updates today on the latest cuts. So, if you guys were unaware, today is the day that all the NFL teams around the league by 4 p.m. Eastern today have to go ahead and get their rosters down to that final 53-man roster. So Giants included. So we got some cuts here today. So we gave you guys in the last episode, if you missed that, go back. The last full live episode we did was of the cuts that happened on Sunday. We're going to give you guys an update on the cuts there today. And I'll be back on, later this afternoon here with a full episode giving you guys all the latest cuts and, who made the roster there once that's finalized. But let's get into the cuts we got going on. So first up, late Sunday night, Matt Nelson got cut there. 6'8", 295 pounds, 28 years old. He was the guy we signed, was a swing tackle for the Lions there the last few years. And let's be honest, this was a packed tackle room, mostly because of bad draft picks by Shane. Josh Azudu has been playing tackle, obviously. Evan Neal is now a backup tackle since he couldn't hack it as a starter. So you got, Jermaine Illuminor and Andrew Thomas as your starters. So it kind of made a little crowded room for Matt Nelson. So, obviously we already released Marcus McKeithen, as we talked about in the prior episode. So the problem comes into be is how many of Joe Shane's draft picks would he cut? You can't cut Evan Neal. He is making way too much money. It would save us nothing by cutting him at that point. So would you cut Josh Azudu to keep Matt Nelson? If you're Joe Shane, you don't want to admit two mistakes in the same draft at that point, let alone three. Again, Evan Neal, I can't knock him on too much because we all wanted Evan Neal. I don't know if there was something he missed in the process when he was looking at him or doing interviews, but, I'm not going to knock him too much for that. That was a consensus pick that should have been made. But unfortunately, Matt Nelson got the chopping block there Sunday. Today's cuts. First up, Jakob Johnson, the fullback, who we just signed last week, 29 years old, 6'3", 255 pounds. I think this is a move to prevent somebody else from being picked up. But what I mean by that is Johnson has a good enough rapport with Brasillo that I don't think they would have signed him saying, hey, we'll give you a shot. Let's see what you can do in the last week. Like, I think this is a move where they said, listen, we're going to sign you. Heads up. We're probably going to cut you. And that's just to prevent somebody else from picking up somebody else we think we want to sneak onto our practice squad. We will sign you once we finalize all the moves and, it gets closer to that week one action there. So I do think he's going to be coming back. I could be wrong. I have no inside information. That's just a gut feeling of mine I have there. You don't sign somebody who's got a rapport like that with the one of your position coaches and played the last 5 years, I think, with Carmen Brasillo. So I don't think he's going anywhere. Linebacker Darian Beavers, the guy we had really, really high hopes for back in 22, just based on how he was playing there in preseason. Obviously, tore his ACL that preseason, just hasn't been the same player ever since. Real shame. That's a guy that we had a lot of promise for. Unfortunately, the turf monster got him, and probably never get to see now what he could have been. Wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, 25 years old, 6'4", 200 pounds. Last year with the Giants, played all 17 games, 9 starts, 21 catches, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, the interesting thing on this is the fact that there was a lot of people saying this is probably going to be between him and Allen Robinson II. It seems pretty obvious that if that's the case, that we're probably keeping Allen Robinson II there, which, he's got a really nice career going. I'm not sure who is the better receiver at this point, him or Hodgins, but career-wise, again, Robinson used to be a legit starter, Pro Bowler in this league at that point back in the day. So, but kind of a sad thing. Hodgins was that folk hero for us back in 2022. We plucked him off the Bills practice squad and became an absolute spark plug for this offense. Was clearly the second best receiver after Darius Slayton that year. Edge Timon Fox, 26 years old, 6'2", 245 pounds. Spent most of last season on the practice squad, but he did get to play in one game for the Giants last year. Played 16 and 22. So, again, this is a case of, I think, the Giants liking their guys. And I should play the Giants to say, Shane and Dable there, because I would have preferred Timon Fox over Boogie Basham. But I think this tells me that Boogie Basham is probably going to be on this roster. But Timon Fox is one of those guys that just always seems to be in the right place at the right time there. But when you go from playing 16 games the next season only playing one game, that just tells you that your opportunities are starting to decrease there, and that's never a good sign as a player. So, wouldn't shock me if he's the guy that maybe kind of slip onto the practice squad, being that they do have a relationship with him from the past couple of years, and it's not like we have amazing backup edge, players at that point. Another edge, Ogi Agofu, one of our undrafted rookie free agents from LSU, also played over at Texas and Notre Dame as well. So he had 3 stops in his college career. 24 years old, 6'4", 250 pounds. No shocker with this one. This was a guy that I did not see making the roster in general, but they gave him a shot. Listen, sometimes you give a young kid a shot, and he surprises you. So, unfortunately, he didn't do enough to do that in that case. Maybe another team picks him up for a practice squad, tries to develop him. Maybe he goes off to the UFL. We'll see what happens there. Offensive lineman Marcellus Johnson, 6'4", 313 pounds, undrafted rookie free agent from Eastern Michigan. Played at Missouri before that. It was mostly a special teamer at Missouri. Did get to play in 5 games at right tackle and right guard. Did very well at Eastern Michigan, where he got the chance to play at left tackle. This is a guy that has a lot of ability to move around the offensive line. If he doesn't make the Giants practice squad, I'll be shocked if he doesn't make somebody else's. Because when you showed already in college, you can play 3 positions on the offensive line. And obviously, if you can play right guard, you can play left guard. So you're certainly saying 4 positions, everything but center. Versatility is something people love in backup offensive linemen. So, and again, didn't play much in Missouri. Didn't really get a chance to play a lot until he went to Eastern Michigan. So someone's going to look at that versatility, that rawness, and they're going to take a shot at him there. So we'll see if it's the Giants. Linebacker KJ Cloyd, which was that was a little bit of a shocker. You wouldn't have said that last week, but after what he did against the Jets, leading the team with 16 tackles, the guy was all over the freaking place there. That's definitely a little bit of a shocker there. Undrafted rookie free agent from Miami who just signed in mid-August after the Jaguars released him. This is a guy that if the Giants don't make a call to try to get him on the practice squad, I will be absolutely shocked. After how he played against the Jets, I mean, he was clearly the best best player, not just on the Giants, but on either side of the ball. 16 tackles. That's insanity, guys. It doesn't take a genius to do the math and go, that's a freaking ton of tackles there. Safety Alex Johnson, another one of our undrafted rookie free agents. This one from UCLA, 23 years old, 6 foot even, 185 pounds. Led the Pac-12 last year in interceptions. Prior to that, not doing much of anything really in college, to be honest with you guys there. So, a guy that kind of was a late bloomer in college, and the Giants took a shot. You heard some good things in camp. So he's another guy that I would not be shocked at all that if the Giants don't, that somebody else doesn't go ahead and put him on their practice squad, because that's a kid that you take some shots on at that point. Interceptions are a key part of this game, obviously. So if you got somebody who's got that ball hawk mentality, that's a nice advantage to have. Lawrence Cager, one of our receiving tight ends there at that point. It's been some time the last couple of years with the Giants. 27 years old, 6'5", 220 pounds. Last year with the Giants, 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. Now, some people thought he might end up on the roster, being that, let's be honest here, Bellinger, mostly a blocker. He does catch the ball, at least his rookie year, better than I think people expected, but he's not a guy that's going to be a replacement for Waller. Not that that's easy to replace necessarily, at least when Waller was healthy. But, Theo Johnson should be a decent receiving tight end, though I do still think he's a bit of a project. So people thought, maybe keep him around for, be a pass-catching tight end. Obviously, he was a converted wide receiver, so he still was kind of learning the position. But I think it boils down to the fact that he's 27 years old, guys. At some point, you go, you know what? You've had a couple years to develop. You probably are what you are now. And that's what I think it is with Lawrence Cager. He's a guy who's a bottom of the barrel, borderline NFL player. And at some point, maybe 27 is that point where you go, you know what? I got to give a young kid a chance to see what he can develop into. So do I really want to clog up a roster spot or a practice squad spot even with a guy who is probably this is his peak probably as a borderline NFL player? Probably don't. At some point, you said, I'd rather get a 22-year-old guy who could be a borderline NFL player. It may surprise us. 27 years old, you're probably not going to surprise us. Here's a shocker to a certain degree here. Darnay Holmes. Guy is literally one of the most longest tenured Giants on this roster. Has been with the Giants longer than everybody who wasn't drafted basically in 2019. Scary thought for you guys, by the way. Daniel Jones is the longest tenured New York Giant. That's a little scary. But yeah, Darnay Holmes, the 4th-round pick of the Giants back in 2020. Came in being touted by Deion Sanders. I remember Deion Sanders was said that he was one of the best steals in the draft there when Darnay Holmes got drafted. But Darnay Holmes has not been that good. He's been just good enough to kind of hang around, and that's partially because of the lack of talent of the Giants roster. He's been a guy who's been getting a lot of penalties at the worst times. Mostly played inside a slot. I know they're playing him a lot outside, it looks like, this year. But yeah, Darnay Holmes looks like his career is done. Again, 26 years old. He's kind of in that same park as, as Lawrence Cager. You're 26 years old. At some point, you got to show me that you have the ability to be better than a borderline NFL player, or I give a young kid a shot and see if he has it. Darnay Holmes doesn't have it, and I think Giants fans are probably rejoicing that Darnay Holmes is gone. And nothing personal against Holmes. He's just not that good. And it's been a frustration of us as fans that he keeps sticking around for so long. So yeah, guys, that's all the latest cuts there today for you guys. Keep in mind, like I said, I'll be back later on today, giving you guys a full report on the final roster as well. But I want to kind of keep you guys up to date as best I can. So appreciate you guys for listening in. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, guys. Give us a follow. We'd appreciate that. We're of course live typically at least 3 days a week there. Our schedule is about to change for the regular season as that begins there. We might go back to 4 like we did last season here. We'll see on that. But as of right now, I've been doing every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course my LinkedIn profile. Oh yes, my LinkedIn profile. And we're going to be adding, I think, soon here Twitter back again, and probably need to stop being lazy and get it back on Instagram as well. So like us, follow us, share us. Appreciate it, guys. That definitely helps very much. And then, like I said, we'll be back later on this afternoon with all the final roster moves, guys. Appreciate you guys watching, and as always, Giant fans, go G-Man!
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.